it's Corpsey, and we are going to be doing Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, 80%. So we'll just might as well get into it straight away. And we will start the time now.
Activating combat mode.
So all of this is pretty standard. This is basically the tutorial teaching you how to play Zack, or as I like to call him, not Cloud. But basically all we're going to do to get through this is we're just going to Firaga every single enemy, just because it hits more than one. Quickest way to clear it. Easy done.
Conflict resolved.
So aside from tactics, I think this was like the first game that really broke the mold of like turn-based or ATB, sort of ATB combat mode.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the first action ones to definitely be around.
This is on the PSP originally, but it's the remake that was released that a lot of people love. How do I say? I think it kind of really set the standard for modern Final Fantasy between like 15 and 16 and whatnot.
Yeah,
I think it really like sort of created the mold of what those games would eventually become, and did really well in that regard.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to say that it did really well, except for the one glaring problem that it tends to have being its leveling system, which we'll see in the top right, especially going through the game, especially because every standard Final Fantasy game, it's like, oh, get enough XP and go level, basically. But Crisis Core is very different, as in we need to wait for 3 numbers to align just to basically allow us to level up, which is very unfortunate because you can be any level that the game wants you to be, especially at the end of game. But that's Chapter 1, well, Chapter 0 Behemoth, basically all the tutorials, but this is even more tutorials. Going in, we meet our mentor, Angeal, the true owner of the Buster Sword. But there's not too much to this chapter, thankfully. It's still just a lot more tutorials trying to get you into the game. But most of it we just want to skip because it's not important to us whatsoever.
The other kind of interesting aspect of this game is the mission sort of system, where like most games just have you go through this area and then this area and then this other area. This sort of has very literal like levels and missions to progress the story.
Yeah. Thankfully, in terms of the side missions for this game, we don't really have to tend to go too much into it. I'd say in total, there's only about 5 missions we go through just to grab really important items.
Yep.
We will be seeing 3 of those missions in particular within the first 20 minutes of the game, and then we'll see about 2 of them a little bit after.
And the curse ring as well.
The good old curse ring.
I think it is fun that both Final Fantasy VII OG and this heavily, like, I don't think this game relies on the curse ring, but it uses the curse ring.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy VII OG does as well, which is quite fun.
Yeah, so for Crisis Core, especially for Reunion, for about, I'd say the first third of the game, we do use the cursed ring, but it's up until the missions I just literally mentioned, where we pick up 2 new pieces of equipment just to replace the cursed ring. But unfortunately, to get the cursed ring, we have to talk to Kunsal roughly about 20 times until he says, alright, we're going to give you the cursed ring now, bugger off.
What was the alternative to getting the curse ring? Because you can either talk to him like 20 times, or I think you had to do some missions or something. I can't remember.
Nah, it was just straight up. As far as I remember, especially learning the run, it was just straight up talk to him 20 times to grab the cursed ring, because it's just right there, and you might as well just go do it.
Yeah.
Instead of punishing yourself trying to get it other ways. So now, for about the first half of the game, basically we're going to be avoiding most encounters just because it's not worth our time to actually fight them. And we also want to keep the encounters down as much as possible. So usually for that wall we have to hug it pretty tight, because especially during practice quite a few times I've gotten encounters even hugging that wall. It's just bad luck. I wish I've gotten it in some PB runs, especially where I haven't gotten it, but beggars can't be choosers. So there is a little thing with Reunion as well when we see the DMW height reactions. You've got several frames to where you can actually hit the start input and actually skip the cutscene entirely, which saves about a good few seconds every time you do it.
We have a $3 donation from Finn with the comment, "Boy, you can do it."
Thank you, Finn.
What a legend. The other, I guess, like major improvement in terms of speedrunning this game is the ability to skip cutscenes. I actually thought you could in the original until you got me to look at the leaderboards, and I thought the PSP run is like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
Whereas this one in real time is closer to like an hour 30.
Yeah.
Which was, yeah, I could have sworn on the PSP version you could skip cutscenes, because you could in Birth by Sleep, the Kingdom Hearts game, you could in Kingdom Hearts 2 at that point, and this game was after those, so
Yeah.
it was kind of surprising that you couldn't skip cutscenes there.
Unfortunately, that's what makes the original Crisis Core a lot rougher to run, is just because of that big time investment of not being able to skip any of the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Which turns into like a 6.5 hour run, usually. And to be on par, that's close to Final Fantasy VII's OG usual time, isn't it?
Yeah, at least at the top level.
Yeah.
Once you get into the encounter manipulation and everything.
Conflict resolved.
And this also had the very controversial Zack voice actor replacement.
I'll definitely say it. I don't think he's that bad, but definitely the older one would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Conflict resolved.
But for what he was given, he did a damn good job. So thankfully we've only got about 3 more fights in total before we get to the next boss of the game, being the twins. So for this whole section, I've been watching my AP and MP count, just because we do want to make sure that we do have enough for all the fights in here that are required, just because if we don't, it slows us down a fair bit.
Conflict resolved. Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Long the way of the Wutai.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Didn't have a Soul Twister, had to improve that. So we will see an actual Final Fantasy VII character coming up in about, say about 10 seconds. He'll be a very familiar character. Everyone knows it, definitely was in FF7. Definitely say everyone's favorite. Which will get up right to that cutscene.
Is it Don, I forgot his name.
Nah,
Don of the Slums, I can't remember his name.
too bad you're not seeing him anyways.
Wait, who was it?
Yuffie.
Oh, okay, yeah. I figured, because you're in like the Wutai area.
Get to see her for about 15 seconds and then she's completely gone.
Yeah.
So
that's funny because like she's an optional character in the original game, so it's
yeah.
kind of fun that they reference her of all characters.
So fortunately for the twins fight, it's not too bad. It introduces you to boss LBs that can happen, or boss limit breaks, and in which there is a twin boomerang for theirs. Thankfully we've stopped it, and we always want to do full combos while they do it, just because it's full damage on them. And basically we want to stun them as much as possible with Blizzard, but it's not always 100% that can happen, so we just want to combo as much as possible. And that's a twin fight.
Boom. Look at that.
Thankfully, nothing too bad, nothing too saucy. Definitely the next fight's definitely one where it's a bit saucier.
Zack.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Okay, so the next fight coming up, we definitely do need to do some equipment changes, which is very minor, but it is required for this fight, in which we're just changing for a Blizzard Blade, because we're going to be taking on Ifrit. Ifrit can be a bit spicy of a boss, just because we're alternating between Blizzard Blade as well as Blizzard. Problem is, we're waiting for one particular attack called Flame Shot, in which kind of stalls his movement, but we also don't want him to get it off either, because it completely messes his movement up, which throws us out of sync.
And this really was the predecessor to Final Fantasy 16, huh?
Yeah.
There's Ifrit.
Well, there was Ifrit.
Yeah. Yeah, no more, no longer.
Got the first Flame Shot skip, but the second one didn't want to budge, but that's unfortunate. But still killed it, it's perfectly fine, still handled. That's the end of Chapter 1, Wutai. So Chapter 2 is, what I like to call Benora Part 1. Basically, we're going off with a new ally, just to go investigate what happened to a known soldier called Genesis. And that,
Loves poetry.
damn right. Good old Loveless. So there's only one thing we need to pick up for this whole entire chapter, and it comes from the same box, being Thunder. Well, that is entirely it for the whole chapter, in which get rid of fire, and we're off to the races again. So Chapter 2 with Benora, the most common thing where you tend to lose time is not even on the bosses itself, it's actually the enemies that are basically around, especially for forced encounters. So one example of a forced encounter is these G Assassins. But thing is, they like to move in different directions, which makes it a bit awkward when you're trying to balance the Blizzard Blade to hit them, since it's not a straightforward attack.
Conflict resolved.
But even then, we try to avoid encounters here, because you can get about 2 encounters just going through this, but we're going to go up against the next boss being Guard Spider, which is exactly why we equip Thunder. Just because he does have a weakness to electricity.
Much like the very first boss in Final Fantasy VII OG being the Guard Scorpion, which you also just spam Thunder on. I kind of appreciate the many parallels in the speedrun of this game and the original Final Fantasy VII, like PS1 version.
And that's Guard Spider.
Dang.
Conflict resolved.
Just simple spam Thunder and win. But if there's any donations or anything, or anything to say, now's definitely the time, because there's not too much going on.
No donations for the moment, but would like to remind you guys that the run after this Crisis Core run will be the Tomba speedrun, where we'll have an upcoming bid war for the original versus remastered soundtrack. So anyone have any preferences, feel free to donate. And there's also other incentives as well, such as how the save or kill Myla incentive on the Hollow Knight speedrun for this afternoon. Later, straight away after that, we have the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze speedrun, where we'll have a donation goal, a $200 donation goal to showcase the bonus levels. There'll be like 6 bonus levels in total, and some of which have the swaggiest, most fun levels to speedrun. And later tonight, and the Rumble Rosa speedrun, we'll have another donation goal, a $150 donation goal, where we'll have 2 audience members right here from the stage fight it out. So first of all, Rumble Roses is a fighting game from a PlayStation 2. And at the end of the speedrun, if this donation goal is met, we'll have 2 audience members fighting out in the versus mode of this game.
Genesis.
And yeah, it's a rare showcase to see like an interactive stage on PAX.
Activating combat mode.
And for the Rumble Roses speedrun, we have also have pick the fighter beat war. Well, we have 4 fighters to pick: Miss Spencer, Dixie Clements, Candy Cane, and Bloody Shadow. And just came in here. We have a $15 donation from A. Hewley. Zach, focus. Don't take Sephiroth lightly.
Activating combat mode.
So, thankfully there's not too much to explain with all these fights, because it's just simply going through G Assassins that Genesis is basically sent within the area, just because he's been notified that he's in the area, and yeah, so it's not really much to say, unfortunately, about it.
Yeah. This game does also have probably some of the most like iconic, legendary voice lines and like meme-worthy moments of the entire series. Me Gone Gaga is an absolute classic, and yeah, just like the many, like super iconic voice lines and whatnot are awesome. That's sort of the only shame of the cutscene skipping, is that you don't get to see all the really iconic moments.
True. What would you say your best voice line is?
Oh, it's Me Gone Gaga. It's Me Gone Gaga is my favorite by far. If not that, then the moment where as Zack is like running out of the building chasing Angeal, and Genesis trips him and starts reciting love lists to him, and Zack just starts screaming like, "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!"
I remember that one very fondly. I think my favorite one definitely has to be, "No way! He just ate my hair!" Easily one of the best lines.
It's the best. But you don't get to see them in the speedrun. It's kind of unfortunate.
It was even better with the old actor as well. The new actor does it fairly well, but oh boy. It is definitely a treat.
This is definitely like, one of the first like weird games. The other ones were like pretty straight. They played them like pretty straight, but this one was very like, very much leaned into it.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll just explain this minigame quickly. So we're coming out because we're basically trying to stop a bombing of Angeal's village of Banora. So what we want to do is we actually want to hit a 9-hit combo, even though there are 10 shells, because it saves us a menu of instead 1500 gil, we only need 900 gil. Problem is doing that with 1500 gil, it gives us 2 prompts instead of just the 1. And we make up for that gil loss later anyways. Because early game gil is quite a big factor that plays especially into our materia fusions, which will be introduced in the next chapter.
The shelling.
But we are actually going to come up into our next boss fight, being Bahamut, who is actually one of the hardest boss fights early game to do. Just because the attacks you need to do, especially for him to do them quickly, is pretty precise.
Activating combat mode.
And that's
There
Bahamut.
we go. Very nice. So for a lot of these bosses, you're standing behind them. Is that just a coincidence that like behind them is the best to stand for these early bosses, or is it just every boss like you want to be behind them, I guess?
So with most of the early game bosses in particular, you want to be behind them just because I don't remember exactly if OG Crisis Core had it, but Reunion has it especially where if you're behind the enemy, you'll always land a critical hit spot. It doesn't matter too much later into the game because we do get a new ability that's specific to Reunion where it allows us just to crit every hit anyways. So now Zac is Soldier First Class and it now gives us the headache of Materia Fusioning, unfortunately, which is a big thing that plays into this game, so you're not getting abilities naturally, instead you're having to make them yourself. In which we'll be doing 3 right now. So I'll just kind of focus up a second for this. So first one we make is a barrier. Our second one we make is Assault Twist with Blizzard Blade for a Blizzara Blade. And then we make into a Thundara Blade straight away. Awesome. So that's all the materia fusioning for about 5 minutes, because we're going to have to do it again. But instead it's going to be a much bigger list. So what we're doing is we're taking side quests on purpose, 711, just because I did mention earlier that we're going to have to do at least 3 of the side missions, just to pick up. 1 is an elixir, 2 is new equipment, which will actually replace that cursed ring. Because we do want to be gaining experience, otherwise we'd be playing level 6 category, which is, it's fun, but not for this run.
So you could theoretically skip the elixir, right? It's just really difficult, I guess.
It would be really difficult on your guild count, just because they do sell for 2,500 gil each.
Right, okay, so you're selling it, you're not using it.
No.
Yeah. I'm used to the, I mostly speedrun the more traditional Final Fantasy games, for those that don't know. So selling an elixir is actually a pretty rare concept. In most games, they sell for like 1 or 0. I think Final Fantasy VIII is the only one where elixirs sell, at least that I run, the only one where elixirs actually sell for decent money.
Yeah, because we need, by the time around this time, we've got all 3 because we picked one up as early as a training mission. The second one when we saw the G Assassins for the first time, and this one that we just picked up now. Yeah. In which we're selling that just to do our materia fusioning for after.
That's another iconic Final Fantasy VII enemy right there.
Conflict resolved.
The sweeper.
Oh yeah!
Gonna see plenty more of those in a bit. And not the good ones either. So there's one more mission we have to do, and it's a bit rough. I could actually take a death heal, just depending on how it goes. It's not too bad if I do take one, because it's very quick to get back into. But it is compulsory we do this, just because there are 2 items that we need, and one of them is selling. So one is the sprint shoes here that we need to sell later on. It's worth about 1,500 gil. Goes into more of our materia fusions. The chest up there is a power wrist, which gives Zac plus 10 attack, and the quest reward we get from doing this is the Diamond Gloves, which is another plus 10 attack. Because what we want to be doing all game is basically stacking Zac's attack to the point where he just ends up one-shotting most enemies in the game.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yeah.
So we have $15 from Fire X Hate. Looking forward to the cursed comments after this, Corpsey.
I knew he was going to do it. I should have prepared for it, but... That's bad. That's what I was worried about.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, because realistically at level 6, you should not be in here at all. Just because he hits for, obviously, about most of your health. That's also me not particularly paying too much attention to it when I shouldn't have been. But it's whatever, because it's the same idea. I can still take another hit here. It's alright. That's how it should have been.
There we go.
Conflict resolved.
So thankfully that's the last mission we need to do. So now it will go into Shinra defense, where basically Genesis has decided to attack the Shinra building, and we basically need to do everything we can to stop it. And what we will do actually before we do that is we'll actually take advantage of the shop now, in which we're buying 1 ether and 11 somas, and we're just selling all of our elixirs straight away, just so we don't have to do it after. And that will basically set us up for straight afterwards when we need to do a little bit of buying when we get a new shop, as well as materia fusioning.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved. Activating combat mode.
Get some more iconic music as well.
Them sweepers with their timing.
Conflict resolved.
Very nice. Those longer fights are typically worse to die in, just because if you die like on wave 3, you've got to go back through waves 1 and 2. Dying to like single enemy fights isn't usually the worst. But yeah, these like multi-tiered fights get pretty scary. Even if you have like the healing and whatnot, it's just definitely a concern. You just want to stay away from the sort of late fight deaths.
That is definitely an encounter you never want. But it's coming up to the next boss fight anyways, which is Georacer, also known as the first major Genesis clone you'll actually fight as a boss. Thankfully, he's pretty set in terms of how he starts, so he'll either start with fire or his shotgun, which can just let us go into a straight stun power attack. So getting lucky stars on a DMW is actually really good, just because it makes every single attack, regardless of how you are positioned, turn into a critical hit.
There we go. Very nice.
Oh yeah!
Impressive.
Impressive soldier first class. Alright, so next is the I'd say the biggest shot that I have to do. Just because, I'll just focus for a second. So we need 2 Thunders, 6 Laborers, and 1 Headband. And then we need to fuse all this together. So we'll start with Air Assault Twister, go into a Libra, because we basically need to put all these attacks straight onto our stuff, which we add into the equipment list, which stacks more attack onto ours. That's wrong one. Alright, awesome, quite cool.
Very nice.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Sahagins are usually some of the worser enemies that you can fight, especially in this section, but once you get Fear Blade, it just becomes a two-shot, just as Ben witnessed. Unfortunately, one good cutscene we'll probably never see in the speedrun. The good old fight with Angiogenesis and Sephiroth. Taken straight from OG Crisis Core.
Yeah.
Activating combat mode.
It's the same sort of deal with like sort of modern Kingdom Hearts running. Like all the Kingdom Hearts games, everyone like skips the cutscenes and whatnot. I mean, obviously you want to, it's a speed run. But like, I do miss some of the really like iconic cutscenes in those games. And like, yeah, in any game we can skip cutscenes, it's like, man, I kind of wish we could just take the time to see some of these really fun cutscenes, but unfortunately not. We're here for speed.
Exactly. But then again, if we decided not to skip any cutscenes in Reunion, we might as well just be playing OG at this point,
Yeah,
because it'd be the same amount of time.
Exactly.
So thankfully there's not too much going on here. It's just a lot of invoiding encounters because they're just purely not worth it. And we're just running to Sephiroth as quick as possible.
Activating combat mode.
Unfortunately, Sahagins can get pretty dicey if they start attacking basically like that and not allowing me to escape.
Do we have time to read a quick donation?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a $50 from the Enforcers. We need to enforce some faster times. Save Myla. And that goes towards the Pat or Wave Myla incentive on Hollow Knight Run. So now Pat Myla is ahead by $75. Thank you.
Combat mode.
No problem. That's a bad hit.
Yeah, you got a little bit trolled there. That's alright.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brain didn't want to register the Sahagins spear, well, Trident, deciding it wanted to be that close. Thankfully, don't need too much. Getting Blizzard instead of the Fire is probably the best thing you can get with the Arions, especially, just because you can move out of the way where Fire's a bit dicey. But it's no matter. It's where we found Sephiroth anyway.
Oh my god, there he is. Quick, get him.
Wait a minute. Why hasn't he stabbed me yet? But this is basically when Sephiroth is deemed as a hero.
Yeah, when he's still like a good guy.
Where he's not turned into a complete psycho.
Yeah.
Wait, psycho or alien? Can't remember which one.
Both, man. Both.
I don't know. That sounds like psycho behavior to me. So now all we're doing is we're chasing Hollander, who is responsible for the whole Genesis experiment. Unfortunately, he will always outgun us in terms of running. These Sahagins.
Yeah, especially with the Sahagins there, you'll never catch him.
Thankfully, there's only 2 more that we encounter as a force encounter. The rest of them are just the G Assassins, which thankfully, even though they're not resistant to Fear Blade, they still take a ton of damage from it, which makes them very easy to clean up.
Oh yeah! Conflict resolved.
But there will be one more materia that we will be grabbing on the way, and especially in the run, it is probably one of the most busted materials you can get in the game, especially for early game, which will carry you all the way basically to late game. So the 2 force Sahagin encounters will encounter here, and basically we want to grab that chest straight after.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah! Alright, so the material we just grabbed was Jump. It is heavily busted, especially in its starting stages, because we'll immediately put it on straight away with +1, and then we will also grab our Fury Blade and change it to Blizzara Blade with Thunder, because we will need it for the boss fight coming up. And this also gives me time just to adjust stuff as well. So adding more attack from the barrier that we had prior instead of the 20% HP, because at this state of the game, HP does not matter. We just all want attack. The only time HP will matter is about the last 3 boss fights in the game. So this boss fight is Machine Trio. Pile Machine I absolutely hate, no matter what. Just because every time in practice, it's always decided to run away. But hopefully we roll good on this Rush Assault, in which we did perfectly, level 4 as well. So this will do heavy damage to all 3 enemies.
Honor to me.
And Rush Assault just basically ended the fight for us really quickly.
Very nice.
At least now we get to chillax for a little bit. So we get to see one other Final Fantasy VII character, which everybody likes. And it's not Sephiroth, by the way.
Yeah, you get to see the old man that gives you the katana in Sid's village. The most beloved character. It's not actually who it is.
It's the Flower Girl herself.
Hey, there she is.
But we're going to say see her for a little bit, because we're going to do the last of the missions that we need to do. Because there's 2 items we need to grab from it. One of them is the item fusion tome, which will allow us to start using items to fuse into our material as well, just to make them even stronger. As well as the keychain, which will give us our 3rd equipment slot, in which there's actually 2 strats that will kind of go into the keychain, being either the Cursed Ring will come back if I don't have the right item, or it won't come back at all. But it entirely depends after I get the keychain.
Activating combat mode.
Bringing out the big guns. Prove your.
Conflict resolved.
Damn.
Always say Rush Assault, STR, DMW.
Yeah. Rush Assault is busted. That's kind of just like the groundwork for a lot of JRPG speedruns. You find your best move, and it just gets spammed to fill.
I will say one gripe with Crisis Core though, they made the summons absolutely useless in this game. They are FTL. You don't want to use them at all. They're just hot garbage.
Summons are typically quite slow anyway, in most games. Like Final Fantasy VIII, I think they take like between 20 and 30 seconds, where in the same amount of time you can deal that damage with attacks that take 2. So it's yeah, casually it's really unfortunate that they nuked summons, but I guess it depends. Sometimes they can be quicker.
Yeah, because
it's just quite rare.
Yeah, because like what? Final Fantasy X, for example, Bahamut in that game, absolutely amazing. But in this game, he is absolutely terrible.
Activating combat
So
mode.
what we've just done right here is we've got to make high jump. We should not have access to this material this early in the game. Just because he's considered the big brother of high jump, and there is a good reason as to why. But now we're hitting for nearly 5,000 each time. So we're just going to finish it off with Rush Assault.
Very nice.
Prove your.
Conflict resolved.
But even then, the usual strat would just be 5 combo, spam high jump. That's basically it for most of the game until we swap it out at the very end.
The high jumps do need to be timed incredibly precisely.
Damn, we won't have to go with the Cursed Ring strat. Because we got... So, with the Cursed Ring strat, it does come back if Machine Trio does not drop another Power Wrist. So Machine Trio has a 7 out of 8 chance that it will drop a plus 10 Power Wrist, but there is the chance that it cannot drop. But if it does not drop, it means we have to use the Cursed Ring for a little while, which means no more level ups for a little while, and we have to spend a minute trying to find an alternative way to get the Power Wrist.
Sorry, that was just really funny.
Yeah, those
Two enemies
headshots
come in and they just immediately go.
gone. Just because high jump is a whole separate
It's so
material class of its own. Just because, say, our Thundara Blade currently at the moment is only attack rating of 28. High jump is an attack rating of 40, which puts it in a whole material class of its own. And the only thing to beat high jump in terms of damage is actually, I'm pretty sure there's two. I can't quote on it for Aerial Drain, maybe one of them. But I definitely know Assault Twister Plus is the definite one, which is the one we take at the very end. So all we're doing now in the slums is we're trying to find a kid who's stolen our wallet. It's not really much to it. We just kind of got to ask people around.
You are a first-class military elite and had your wallet stolen by a child.
Don't know how to feel about that one, to be honest.
That's grounds for demotion, in my opinion.
What they don't know won't kill them, alright?
Yeah, if we don't let them know.
Don't let them know. So usually you can get a few seconds of time save if you only have one potion in your inventory when you come up to talking that kid, because you'll trade off that potion and he won't have extra dialogue to trade anymore because you'll just know that you have no potions. But he stole basically our money and our wallet because he wanted to get medicine, but we're gonna go kill the monsters that were done it. These monsters may be a challenge for us, but I'm sure we can pull through as first-class soldier.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
I don't think it was that
Tough
bad.
fight, tough fight. Barely scrape bite.
First-class soldier. Whew.
Gotta wipe the sweat off the brow after that one.
Love to see Bruno do that.
That high jump is insane.
Oh, it's so great. It's going to be even better for some of the other boss fights too. Where you get to see that pop off. Ooh, boy. It's a treat and a half.
Come on.
So thankfully we're coming to the end of the intro of the slums, because now we kind of get to go back to the Shinra building, which will involve two bosses after several waves of enemies, fortunately. And those two bosses, one of them is another Genesis clone, being G Warrior, and then another one is another summon, but won't give it away just yet.
Have a time for another donation?
Yep, go nuts.
We have $40 from Oldamon, or is it Oldamoni? Apologies, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But anyway, the comments.
Combat mode.
You'll be
Conflict resolved.
my living legacy.
That's a good quote too.
That is a very strong quote.
Activating combat
Oh,
mode.
this game, look, I'll say it, this game rules.
It's so, I'll definitely rate it up there as probably one of my most favorite Final Fantasy games. And like, I'll say this over, especially the newer ones that have come out, like 16, 15, 14, etc. I definitely put this as one of my top.
Yeah. I think this game just still has all the quirky charm of Final Fantasy VII.
And the thing is, it's definitely required for 7 as well, because you look at the remakes now especially, in how they've included Zack into that as well, and just even that general sense. So this is G Warrior. Thankfully he's not too hard. Just kind of want to power attack him, make sure to avoid stuff. Make sure to have AP, that's a good start. Thankfully we got enough, so that's G Warrior.
Dang, there he goes.
Conflict resolved.
But we are going to come up against another boss in about the next 30 seconds. Also a fun fight, if he decides he wants to play correctly. There's Sephiroth again, just kind of chilling out.
Get him!
He can get him in his own time. We're doing a speedrun. We're not
Yeah.
going to watch that.
It just always reminds me of, did you ever play Modern Warfare 2? Like on the, yeah, like,
Yeah.
you've got like so many moments where like Commander Shepard double crosses you and yada yada.
Oh,
There's
don't
like
remind me.
so many like moments in the early game where you can just shoot him.
Yeah, and it's just like, no, you're not allowed to do that.
It's just funny. Like you could end the game so early, so many times technically.
It's like, damn, I could have saved about, I don't know, $70.
Days of gameplay.
Alright, so we're going to come up against the next boss fight. This next boss fight is someone we've kind of seen before, but a new variant.
Aerith.
Activating combat
No.
mode.
That would be awesome.
So we've actually got the good Bahamut Fury, where he starts off with the Scream instead. Kind of allows us to go into a power attack, in which we're going to follow up with a high jump, and since we've got Up Slash, might as well use it. Very high powered attack. I'd rate it on about A tier, finishes the fight really quickly.
Conflict resolved.
Yeah, the fights when they come together in this game are really, really satisfying.
When they don't come together as well, they're really slow. When
Yeah.
you get really lucky with DMWs and you're just getting Octa Slash and Rush Assault all the time, especially on single target bosses, oh boy, they are quick. So that's the end of Bahamut Fury. So now we're up to Medeoheim. Well, we're going to be going to Medeoheim, which definitely will start to get a lot spicier with our use of high jump, especially for two particular bosses that will show up in that area. But we do need to make a little pit stop first, just for safety's sake of the event. And which, it's not even safety because I know they've started doing it in runs as well, which is just, it's on the way, and picking up this potion, it's actually a Phoenix down. So just in case we do mess up, we do get a revival. And it means we won't game over straight away and have to restart the fight. It will just allow us to pick straight back up with full HP. So we only get 2 opportunities to pick that up. So that is our first opportunity. But if there is a second opportunity, just in case we do die, I'm definitely hoping we don't. But it shouldn't happen. So thankfully we've just got to run all the way back to the slums to go see Aerith, and we're off to Medeoheim.
I think this would have been the first time as well where like, yeah, no, it would have been like the first time where players could have really seen these like environments like the slums and whatever in like a more exploratory, is it a word? Like sort of a way where they could actually run around them and look at them in a 3D environment or whatever.
Yeah, like what? Back then, if you were trying to see the slums, the only thing you'd have was OGFF7
One
at that point.
isometric like view of the area, yeah.
You're a fan of boxes? Because that's all you're getting.
Yeah.
But no, especially with the introduction of Crisis Core, it definitely gave a lot more of a visual look to how the slums and even
100%.
different parts of Midgar actually look like.
So yeah, this is the legendary moment where Zack meets Cloud.
Wait, are we sure it's Cloud?
Don't fall too
I might
far
be,
behind.
not sure.
Could be Cloud. We
Could
need
be.
to we need to make
Someone's
sure for a
keeping
second.
Well, I'm a country boy too.
Oh, actually,
where?
your favorite quote's here.
Yes.
Nibelheim. How about you?
Me? Gungaga.
Ah, see, you said it. Gongaga.
What's so funny about that? You know Gungaga?
Me? Gongaga.
You know Gongaga?
It's
I
such
know
a
Gongaga.
backwater name.
Damn right you do.
Ditto Nibelheim.
Like you've been there.
I haven't.
Anyways, we'll get on with the cutscene. The DMW will show us who it is.
And there it is.
It's Tidus.
No way.
No way, a crossover and Crisis Core reunion with Final Fantasy X?
That would actually be kind of nuts.
Do we have a time for a quick donation?
Yeah, go nuts.
$15 from Loki. Me? Gongaga.
You? Gongaga.
Perfect. Perfect. We're all Gongaga in spirit.
Yeah, Nibelheim, move out of the way. We are the Gongaga gang. So I will actually take one safety save here, just because it can get a bit dicey. Because the one thing they did decide to introduce in this game was a stealth section, which for some reason does not make sense at all, especially in a Final Fantasy game. I think the only time I've seen it ever as well was Final Fantasy XIV in one expansion, and even then that didn't make too much sense. Thing is, the AI in this, in terms of spotting, is a bit jank, so we can just kind of run past, especially this guy. We can just kind of hugging against the wall, and for some reason, even in his eyesight, he does not see us at all. We can just kind of...
I hate to actually you, but the original Final Fantasy VII does technically have a stealth section. When you first invade the Shinra building with Cloud, Tidus, and Barret. Oh my god, I actually said Cloud Tifa and Barret. And you have to hide behind the poles.
Yep.
And you have to sneak past. So get that up, yeah. And I actually don't think that really bizarre mini games are out of the question for Final Fantasy games. Especially Final Fantasy VII. It has some of the most, with like the snowboarding.
Yep.
Come on, man.
To be fair, that was good though.
Yeah, oh, it's awesome. But like, girlfriend just died, time to snowboard.
Wait, Aerith's dead? How can we cure this? Snowboarding.
Time to rip some spins, some nice 180s.
Alright, so that material, I realized I forgot a second materia fusion that we need to do. So the first one was actually Dispel, which we really need to make, just because, and I do see that Buster Sword over
That is
there.
a crazy Buster Sword back there. What a hero. I'm starting to feel inadequate.
Oh my god, it's Tidus.
That's awesome.
Activating combat
No.
mode.
He's holding it with one hand as well. What a unit.
Yeah, I can see it just above the screen, but big massive shout out to that cosplay over there. That is
All
amazing.
the cosplayers actually have been awesome through like the whole event.
Alright, so here comes Genesis 1. Genesis is a very interesting fight, so I will not explain anything for this fight, and I'll just let it go.
Yep. Is this the one where you're...
Activating combat
Not
mode.
this one.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty bad. Did not equip the Dispel. That had the extra AP, but that's Genesis 1.
Barely made it.
Barely. Sorry, the next one gets spicier. So unfortunately, Genesis's Apocalypse DMW kind of suffers the same fate as Summons, where it's just not that great of a DMW. Usually when it comes up, you kind of never want it around, just because it doesn't do that much damage as you think it would, especially as a level 5, it's a bit disappointing. Yep, I completely forgot to put the Dispel on, which gives me like another 140 AP, which would have been really nice, because then you could just keep absolutely spamming high jump.
I do appreciate as well, just before we get too far from the topic, I really appreciate how many of like the cosplayers of the games being run have come to see the games. Like during Pizza Tower, there were like 3 Peppino
Activating
cosplayers.
combat mode.
Yeah,
And like here we've got like the whole, you know, everyone's around. All the Final Fantasy cosplayers have come to see. It's just awesome.
speaking of Genesis.
Complete.
Alright, so Griffin wasn't the fight that I was talking about. Griffin's pretty standard. He can be a bit annoying on a casual playthrough, just because his pressure, if it does hit you, it will always put you in a stun, which kind of gets a bit problematic, because then he does like to follow up with auto attacks, which, especially at this health, it gets a bit bad, just because you do get to about 200 health, which puts you in a very dangerous point. But we will be coming up to the next boss fight, which is Angeal Penance. But I'll make this a little bit interesting, just kind of show it off. What do you reckon I should do to make this interesting?
I reckon that bandana that you've got,
Yep,
pull it down.
straight down.
We're going to need a little bit of quiet for this one. This is
Activating combat mode.
There we go.
There we go. Look at that. Gangster. That was crazy.
Hey.
Yeah, I was definitely waiting for the audio cues on that one. Because a lot of that, especially because there is a delay with the Dispel on timing, just because he does like to cast that shield straight away, but there is a tiny bit of a delay on it, where it's you kind of gotta wait for it, and it has a definitive audio cue when it happens. All right, time for the best filler arc in any Final Fantasy game known to man. We get the best weapon in the game, the Umbrella.
I actually forgot about that.
It is the greatest filler arc ever.
There's in OG 7, you don't do it in the speedrun because it's all optional.
Yeah.
When you do go to Costa del Sol, you can see Hojo in his full science like science coat or lab coat or whatever on the beach, like just surrounded by like all the people in their swimwear and everything.
Yeah, and I remember that, and he's just chilling out, isn't he?
It's so awkward because he's in full like lab coat get up and everything, just stretched out on a bed, and everyone else is in like appropriate attire.
Alright, so the start of Chapter 6 with Junon, we do now have Angeal's Buster Sword, which is the OG classic one. But Reunion decides to give us a new mechanic called the Buster Stance, which is only specific to this remake. Basically what happens is it allows us, for a little cost of extra AP, it allows us to do a guard while we're prepping the stance. And it will make every attack that we do while we're in it a critical hit. So now every time we decide to do a high jump or a power attack, it will always crit. Just giving us a lot more damage than really needed.
Is it double? Like double damage?
I'd say roughly double.
Okay.
Fortunately for the G-Troopers, we don't particularly need to use it because as we're seeing through one high jump, they're just getting absolutely melted. And this is just living proof of Crisis Core. You don't need to be a high level to finish the game. We're level 13 and we're absolutely melting everything just because we made busted material.
Activating combat mode.
Taking you down a peg. Here we go.
Conflict resolved.
So now a lot of this is just completely running through. There's not too much to go off of it. We're going to encounter a few gunblades, and there's not really much to it. They die in one hit as soon as they turn their back.
Oh my god.
Thanks, high jump. You've done it again. Make them even more look like a joke than they should be.
Jump.
Taking you down a peg.
Unfortunately, that's the last one it happens on because these ones just kind of don't turn around, but they still die relatively quick either way. And there's one more encounter before we come up against another boss fight, being General's Tank.
Activating
This'll
combat
do.
mode.
Taking you down a peg. Later.
Conflict
Oh
resolved.
yeah.
Very clean.
The true test is General's Tank, just because it can get a bit dicey, just because we do tend to ignore these support machines that happen. And if we do mistime our high jumps, he can catch us in the cannon, which will basically demolish nearly all the close to our health.
Heads up. Bye now. Taking you down a peg. Heads up. This'll do. Brace yourself.
Rush Assault coming into clutch again. Should finish off the fight.
Conflict
Yeah,
resolved.
There we go.
Perfectly fine. Thanks, Angel. Gave us a Buster Sword and you give us the busted DMW again. Absolutely flawless.
So one sort of piece of like tech that was used there that might not be as apparent is when you do high jump or do any move, you've got you cast it and then there's like a moment of like recovery where you're like, you know, he swings back his sword or whatever, or pulls back his hand from casting a spell. That was skipped with the Rush Assault cast. You sort of, much like a fighting game, cancelled the high jump into the Rush Assault, which both for consistency and for speed was really like, it's sort of, how do I say, not as visually like apparent,
Yeah.
but is those little things that really make these games interesting.
Yeah, definitely. One sec. Let's take a selfie while this is still going. So there is a minigame that goes on during this fight, which gives us about a minute and a half of doing absolutely nothing. Because Crisis Core thought it was a good idea. Let's introduce minigames more than halfway through the game. And they're just like, nah, don't have to do this one. This has absolutely no repercussions whatsoever. So Zach can just kind of chill here at the control panel and not do a damn thing. You can just kind of sit there, just chill out.
I guess if we have anything that needs to be said.
Yeah, definitely now's the time.
Thank you. So let me just remind everyone the upcoming donation incentives that are coming up pretty soon. So on the run after this one, we'll have the Tomba speedrun, where we have a bid war of using either the original soundtrack or the remastered soundtrack that was just released 2 months ago. And the upcoming Hollow Knight run also have an incentive to Pat or Wave to Myla. And at the moment, Wave to Myla is winning at $50, while Pat Myla is at $25. Yeah. And also for everyone here in the audience,
Activating combat
No,
mode.
you're still good. Yeah, you're still good.
anyway, yeah, if anyone want to buy the PNR kit bit, right at the runner management desk there at the left side of the stage, so it's only $30, and all proceeds will go to the Game on Cancer charity. Thank you. Back to you guys.
Thank you. So thankfully that was Guard Scorpion.
Conflict resolved.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
Good old high jump, added again with Buster Stance, just makes something busted even more busted.
Oh God, I've cooked up. In my head, I need Photoshop access immediately to make this. When Bart and Lisa and The Simpsons are playing rock, paper, scissors, and Bart's like, good old rock, good old reliable rock always wins or whatever. Good old high jump, you make him look like Zach or whatever.
Lisa's gonna shot with a Buster Sword.
Someone make it.
So all this is, I'd still consider it filler arc. There's really nothing that goes on during this chapter. We're just kind of helping Aerith make her flower wagon, etc. Just kind of chilling time until we get the call to go to
Activating
Nibelheim,
combat mode.
in which all hell will break loose.
I've seen it a million times at this point, but high jump one-shotting everything.
Yeah, it's
so
it's always
glorious.
funny. Like no matter what, it's like you play this game casually and it's like, oh, I struggled against this, and meanwhile, this.
Yeah.
Hey Bruno, what's up Bruno? We're just gonna get the materials, you can wait there. Just don't get in the way of the high jump, you'll regret it. So thankfully there's 4 items, well 5 items we're looking for. We've already passed 1, but we can only access it once we find the other 3.
Yep.
I just realized math is wrong. 4
Right.
items.
Hey, it's alright, man. I called Tifa Titus before.
I'm a speed. True. To be fair, I'm a speedrunner, not a mathematician.
Yeah.
So there's only 2 more items we need to collect. One is from the wheels in Loveless Avenue, from basically an old truck that is broken down. And then one is the helmet that's out the front of the church, which we passed deliberately, because it will not give us the item until it's flagged of all other items have been collected. And in which from there we can just head to Aerith, and then it's just a back and forth of tedious stuff. Like, even now, any donations, anything to say is good, because this is just a few minutes of nothing.
Hey, for the first time viewers, either at home or right here at the speedrunning stage. So, we are out speedruns. We are a group doing speedrun events to raise money for charity. And currently, we are raising money for Game on Cancer, a charity which funds early career cancer researchers who are working across all areas of cancer research. And if you'd like to donate, you could go to donate.outspeedruns.com or donate manually right there at the donation jar on the left side of the stage. And if you want to look at the upcoming donation incentives, you could go to incentives.outspeedruns.com. And for the viewers at Twitch, also a reminder that every bits and subscriptions that we receive throughout this event will also fully go towards supporting Game on Cancer. So yeah, keep subscribing, keep donating your bits, and donate your and do the donations as well at donate@outspeakers.com.
Wow.
Awesome. So we've done the almighty quest of helping her build a flower wagon. Probably the hardest thing to do in this game. It's the one thing you can't high jump, unfortunately. We can only wish.
Just decimate the flower wagon.
Just because of that, I went to the wrong room.
that tickled me a bit. Just the thought of like Aerith, this like, you know, like lovely person builds this lovely flower wagon for her like, you know, slum of a village, and Zac just decimates it. 9999. Legendary.
Just kind of look back on Aerith going, am I sure I critical hit that by any chance?
What did you do?
Don't know, man.
Excellent.
Yeah, so unfortunately a lot of this is just running back and forth from the Shinra building. I don't know who thought of that design philosophy of, hey, let's just keep making the player go back and forth between the furthest bit of the slums and most likely the furthest bit of Shinra building possible.
I think, I was talking about this recently, I think every single Final Fantasy game has, like, no matter, you know, the shortest and the longest ones or whatever, they all have a moment of just nothing.
Yeah.
Like Final Fantasy X-2, you've got like the Moonflow section where you just have to run up a road
Yeah.
for like nearly 20 minutes. And like 10's got a moment like that as well. 7's got the cloud flashback sequence. 8's got Travia and space. 9 has every single time you go to Lindblom.
Yeah.
I think there's just, yeah, like everyone just has this moment where like in a speedrun context, it's like, what the hell were you thinking?
To be fair, I thought that snicker was because you saw the flower wagon in the back still standing.
No, no, it's that thing's toast.
All right, so now we're out of the bad chapter, so now we actually get into the spicy chapter
There
of
we go.
Nibelheim. So now we're actually catching up to Final Fantasy VII in a way. So we're back with our boy, our main man, the myth, the legend.
Are you
Don't know who this guy is. What was his name again?
Sverrimorph or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
There's a fun piece of lore that I think I'd say most people know, but you might not. It is canon that Sephiroth uses a full bottle of shampoo and a full bottle of conditioner every time he washes his hair.
I remember that.
Yeah, he if you talk to him enough times in the OG 7, he'll tell you his hair care routine. And yeah, it's a full bottle of shampoo and a full bottle of conditioner.
Dude, well, with how silky of hair he's got,
Yeah, he's beautiful.
he's definitely sponsored by L'Oreal Paris.
He's worth it.
For that hair? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we also got to briefly see Cowboy Tifa, who I think is just the best.
Activating combat mode.
We do get to see her again very barely while we're going through this little section, just because Cloud decided, wait, Cloud? Tidus. He decided that he wanted to give a little bit of honor, etc. Defend Tifa, and now she has to carry him all the way, and we're just kind of, yeah, we'll defend you. We'll totally defend you. Don't worry about them. They can handle themselves.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Activating combat mode.
Bring it on.
That's an unfortunate encounter.
Conflict resolved.
Not that it matters, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just time loss.
like if you want the most ideal Nibelheim, especially with encounters, it is no encounters on the way down and also on the way back up.
So these are all random, unavoidable.
They are avoidable,
Activating combat
but they're
mode.
just completely random.
Yeah.
How about this?
Like I think I've only had I think maybe twice
Resolved.
in total out of all my runs where it's been no encounters.
Yeah.
But even then, like 1 or 2 encounters each way, it's not that bad. You can still get a relatively good time with those sort of stuff. It's completely fine, but the most ideal is no encounters.
We have time for another donation.
Yep, go ahead.
So we have a huge $100 from Aun L, the Pizza Tower runner himself, right in the audience there. Hello from the audience. Put this towards the DKC Tropical Freeze bonus levels. So now the DKC Tropical Freeze bonus levels incentive donation goal is already 50%. We are at $100 out of $200 donation goal. Thank you.
Awesome. So we're skipping cutscene again. Eric tried calling us. Basically, layman's terms of that whole conversation is, we're busy. Call again later. Because we're off to Shinra Manor to do some really fun stuff. One of them is we're going to grab a new material, which we do have to pick up via a safe called Vital Slash. This is compulsory for us to pick up because it gives us plus 15 attack, as well as every shot that it connects with will always crit, and its damage is always going to be 9,999. So just need, 2. Sorry, just will be a little bit quiet for this one, just because I do have to remember numbers. 1. Hopefully I haven't screwed up the numbers. First try.
There we go. Very nice.
So at the moment our attack is about 70, so it's pretty good. But once we get Vital Slash, it's 82. So now we're going to be dumping a whole lot more damage than intended. So that means Vital Slash does a lot more damage, High Jump does a lot more damage, anything we do does a lot more damage, as long as it's an actual attack and not, say, magic.
High Jump doing more damage? Oh no.
Oh yeah. And we're going to see it very soon too. So side note, if we go through that red door and we have a coffin key, we actually can find another character in there who is kind of sleeping for a little while. But we're not going to go visit him because we don't want to annoy him. He's going to be in another game.
It's Barret.
He can fit in those things.
It's not Barret.
Damn, mad props if he can though.
Yeah. It kind of does make me a little bit sad that Tifa and Vincent are optional characters in OG7. Because when I do, I replay the game casually, I'd say like once every maybe 1 or 2 years. Legendary cutscene there as well.
Always the best one.
But yeah, it's like, I have to go so far out of my way to grab Vincent and Yuffie, and I love them both very much. So.
Activating combat
To
mode.
be fair, if you want Vincent as a compulsory character, just move over to Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, I do have a PS2 copy of Dirge. I need to play that.
I'm thinking about it, honestly, but I've heard it's a pretty cursed speedrun.
I think it's really good as a
Activating
speedrun.
combat mode.
Fun fact with that game as well, you can plug a keyboard and mouse into your PlayStation 2 and play it with that,
Conflict resolved.
which is incredibly based.
Yeah, I was about to say, adding keyboard and mouse to that, especially like PS2 first-person controls as well, that's pretty tight. So actually now we're in pursuit of Sephiroth. So Sephiroth is a pretty interesting fight. The way we attack him, he definitely has a set rotation, but it also can be a bit dicey. But we can always make it interesting if we want to, for Sephiroth at least. Question is, do we want to take that chance or not?
That's up to you. It's your run, man.
Oh.
No, Cowboy Tifa!
Nah, she's gone. Gonzo.
No.
Nah, we'll pay attention to this fight.
Activating combat mode.
This'll do. Take that. Here we go. Hands up. Take that. Here we go. Taking you down a peg. This'll do.
So we actually got a really good Sephiroth where we actually get him right before he casts Heartless Angel.
Nice.
So that means we don't have to heal during phase 2. Now, would you guys believe me if I said we can finish Sephiroth off in exactly 3 hits?
Do you hit 3 high jumps?
No.
Oh, okay.
One high jump,
Activating combat mode.
Here we go.
followed with a Vital Slash,
Heads up.
and followed with a second Vital Slash, and that is Sephiroth.
Conflict resolved.
Unfortunately, all that hair product could not save him from the fact of Vital Slash and high jump exists. So thankfully, that's all in terms of Chapter 8 of Nibelheim. There is really not much that goes on afterwards. We're mainly just now, we're going to be breaking out of Nibelheim now that Tidus/Cloud is in a rough state. Kind of have a little flashback of Angeal, it's whatever. But now this is where we start kind of considering the end game at this point. Just because we have passed Sephiroth, and even then, before getting to Nibelheim, was basically the point of no return. There is something a little bit off when it comes to these cutscene skips. So whenever Zack decides to turn around on a door, we're allowed to cutscene skip, except for one in particular outside in Nibelheim, just because a dialogue blocks it, for absolutely no reason why it should be able to be skipped, but for some reason it just doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes there's like rules around when you can cutscene skip. The examples that spring to my mind are Final Fantasy X-2. There's certain moments where it's like, in my notes, I'll have like when so-and-so turns to the left, now you can cutscene skip.
Yeah.
Conflict
Or like
resolved.
when the camera angle changes or something like that.
Like the earliest example, especially in this game, was with the shelling in Benora, where I had to wait after the minigame for the conversation on the phone to occur before I could cutscene skip it. Because for some reason it basically wants to prioritize the dialogue. That's my best theory around it. I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sure how it wants to work, but that is my best bet. So thankfully, escaping from Nibelheim, there isn't too much that goes on. Once we get down here, we're basically facing off against Shinra soldiers. Just because we do need to protect Cloud while he has sleepy time.
Activating
Bye
combat
now.
mode.
As we can see, he's being dragged over there. He's kind of not. He's kind of just chilling out. Although we're going to have to kind of stop him because we kind of need him.
We do need him.
How about this?
Do we though?
Conflict
We-
resolved.
I mean, Final Fantasy VII needs him.
Nah, surely not.
He is actually really useful as a speedrun until Tifa gets what she needs to sort of get going. Death Blow
Taking you
and
down a
Curse.
peg. Got him.
Oh,
Doesn't really matter at this point.
This'll do.
Conflict resolved.
So, seeing that we're about level 19 and we're about Escape from Nibelheim, usually it's okay-ish. But
Activating
usually on the
combat
best
mode.
of runs that I've had, you're usually sitting about level 20, 21-ish. It's not the worst, but it can affect it a little bit, especially endgame, when you're coming up against the last 3 bosses.
How about this?
But a lot of this is just Buster Stancing and high jumping them because they just simply die in one shot. The only ones that won't die in one shot are the captains on a non-Buster Stance high
Conflict
jump.
resolved.
But thankfully that's the last of them, just for this whole section. We get Cloud to safety. And we have to take out one more group.
This may
But that's one we can just take out without Buster Stance high jump.
Activating combat mode. Conflict resolved.
He tried running off, he saw the high jump coming, couldn't escape it. He had a mind, but he was too late.
Okay.
So this is the
We're
cutscene I
leaving
was talking
town.
about, which we can't skip just because dialogue
Come
wants to
on
take
now.
priority for absolutely no reason. And how we were talking about in Junon, how they decide to throw minigames at you even halfway through the game. Here's another one they decide to throw at you. Do we have to do it? Nah, don't have to. Instead, we can skip most of the encounters, if not all of them, as long as we stick to the green pathing. Just because the alert heads that we saw earlier, especially at the front of the church, will decide that they want to spawn basically on anything that's dirt. Grass patches, not quite, so that's why we tend to hug it, especially around. And even then, after some cutscene transitions where it decides it wants to show them escaping, we do make hard cuts. just like that, because if we go any further, we'll run into an encounter. And there is one more transition that comes up that we do have to go into. And then we dart left and we should be clear of all encounters.
Activating combat
Got
Right at the finish line.
happened on the PB too, which is even more disappointing. Right on it too. What are we at? 119. We've got enough time for the cutscene. We had the Gungaga cutscene. Now we've got to have the other cutscene. Pretty sure it's like 2 minutes, anyways, so it should be alright. Plus gives me time to kind of get a chill on off the controller for a little bit.
Shinra makes good stuff.
My other good cutscene. Actually get to see Genesis for once outside of combat as well.
Not again. Get off me! My hair! Stop pulling!
Oh, you think he's gonna do it?
Of the beasts
I think he's
brings
hungry.
about the world's end.
Feeling a
The
bit peckish, especially after seeing a dumb
descends
apple.
from the sky.
Wouldn't lie, I'd feel a bit peckish.
Wings of light and dark spread afar. She guides us to
Genova
bliss,
cells, man. What can you say?
her gift
Yeah.
everlasting.
That's my hair!
You were a test subject in Hojo's new experiment. A modified
Dude, I don't know. I
version
think
of
he's gonna do it.
Genova's power runs through you.
What? Seriously?
No
Man.
way.
He just ate my hair.
Did it? Just ate his hair.
You're set.
What a good line read.
Activating combat mode.
Taking you down a bed. Here we go.
So this is G Eliminator, or as I like to call him, dude, he ate my high jump.
He ate all of them so far.
Taking you down a bed.
Yeah,
Dang.
there goes dude ate my high jump.
Conflict resolved.
So thankfully now we get to go to the best place on Earth, Gungaga.
Gone Gaga.
There is only one notable boss fight in here, but also the last vendoring and fusion we will do throughout the run, because we are at the second last chapter of the game, being Gungaga. So there's 10 chapters in total. We're at chapter 9. Chapter 10 is, I like to call Benora Part 2, but it's got several different names for it, just because of where it is. I don't like to go for the names because it's got names of like Seed of Judgment, Light of Doom, etc. And I'll just call it Benora. So we do want to go to the right because we do pick up a shop, which can be easily missed if you're not paying attention too much for it. It is required for the fusioning because it does give us access to high-powered stuff like Faraga and also DMW materials, in which we'll be grabbing Lucky Stars because we will be, after this fight, we will be getting rid of high jump.
No way, something stronger than high jump.
The one and other, which we haven't seen since the start of the game.
Activating
Bye
combat
now.
mode.
How about this? Taking you down a bed.
Conflict resolved.
Got him.
Alright, so now we can wave goodbye to high jump because that's the last time we use it for this whole entire run. So now we do our last shops. So the first thing we do is we want to buy basically 90 potions, buy 1 Faraga, and we also want to buy Lucky Stars. And now we want to do a little bit more fusion material, so we will grab the Thunder and the Faraga to first make ourselves a Blizzaga. Then we will grab our high jump and our lucky stars because we're going to make Assault Twister Plus the only thing that is more better than high jump in this game. And then on top of that, we want to start fusing our barriers. So we go barrier with Cura and we dump basically 90 potions into it, so we get 60%. Then we want to go back to the shop and we want to buy 60 more, or in this case 90 more. It doesn't matter at this point, guild doesn't matter, nothing.
Yeah.
And then we basically fuse our barriers together with the potions and we get 100% barrier. This is where our HP will start to matter more because this is where everything starts to hurt a lot more. So we're all that. So now we've gone from 1700 HP all the way to 3148. And we are still keeping all of our attack at the same time, just because of that Vital Slash Master we picked up in the safe in Nibelheim. But now, thankfully, there is only one boss fight in this whole entire chapter, which is Hollander, who is now been absolutely corrupted by the Genesis cells. And he is just an absolute dirt of a fight. He is very easy, very simple. Basically, it only takes 4 Vital Slashes and then just Assault Twister and plus him to death, and that's it.
Activating
Bye
combat
now. Here we go. Take that. Bye now.
So 3,
Taking you down a peg.
4, and he'll start to cast Lucky
Hands up.
Funny Worm.
Taking you down a peg. Here we go. Bye now.
And that's Hollander. Nothing too special
yeah.
about him. But now it gets us into the last chapter of Banora, where it goes into a 3 back-to-back boss fight, in which the first one is G Regicide, who is insanely dangerous, to where I end up actually having to purposely delay one of my attacks. Otherwise, I will straight up one-shot die. Just because if I time it wrong and he decides to do Tri-Thundaga, I will take approximately 3,000 health. But that's not till about an extra 2 minutes. Right now, we're just kind of getting to the bottom of Banora, just because Genesis has decided to open up the live stream after 4 years of being completely absent.
I can't believe the live stream would be used for someone's benefit like this.
Can't believe it.
I cannot believe.
So the 7 materia we grab on the way, it's a very specific pathing just because we can, it makes it a lot easier to grab it on the way. We take a specific diagonal direction there because we can get an encounter of a Malboro, and fighting them is just really annoying. You can escape from it, but it's just...
I think they're like nearly detrimental to every speedrun.
Yeah.
In like every game that I'm thinking of, just because I don't know if it's a thing in this speedrun specifically, but they have bad breath, which basically just inflicts every status element that's available in the whole game on the party.
Yeah.
So,
like, they're pretty slow in Crisis Core where you can run away from them,
yeah.
but you can get very unlucky if they do decide to start the fight with bad breath immediately.
Yeah. Just immediately like poisoned, blind, silenced, yeah, just about everything.
Yeah, and specifically for Crisis Core as well, they'll do those detriments as as well as shutting off your DMW as well.
Yeah.
Which can make it really bad if you need it. So far we've grabbed 6 of the materia that we need for the Goddess statue that will engage basically the 3 fights that will be showing up. And to be fair, the 7th one's not that far anyway, so it's only just to our left. And as soon as we activate the statue with all 7 materia, G Regicide will spawn and that will start that boss fight. Thankfully, they are not back-to-back between G Regicide and the second last boss in this game, which gives us a fair bit of time just to kind of get our hopes up and make sure it goes well. And even then, the last boss after that is a back-to-back, but it does restore all your stuff anyways. So this is G Regicide. So basically all these attacks, I want to make sure that I'm getting with the guard. So there's the Tri-Thundaga that we want to avoid every time, because if we don't, we're dead. this is still
Taking
fine.
you down a peg.
That is bad. Literally 1 HP.
Dude, he had the tiny sliver of magic pixel.
This is fine because it just means we don't have a Phoenix down, just in case Genesis Avatar goes wrong. Please don't.
Conflict resolved.
So close.
But this is alright.
Genesis.
It just means we need to make sure we need to be extremely careful with how the ads are spawned in Genesis Avatar and make sure they are timed as well, because they can swarm you pretty quickly, which makes it a really bad fight. Alright, so second last boss of the game, Genesis Avatar, there is a bit of differences with his fight in which you can actually target him now
Activating combat
instead
mode.
of just being one big thing. If you're able to explain this fight while I do it, it'll be a bit amazing.
Here we go. Break that. How about this? Taking you down.
There won't be the notes there. So
I'm so sorry.
it's all good. So with the material, especially with Genesis' sword, it does have 3 possible critical spots that it can have,
Hands up.
but things can also stop it from being critical.
Down a peg.
So especially in this fight, we are not allowed to use our DMW at all because it will actually reset the critical spot of the material and it will make it unavailable throughout the whole entire fight, which just makes it a lot longer and a lot more painful. So right now we're actually in a pretty good spot for him to be one-cycled. We are just going to kind of deal... It's not allowing me to lock in. Just kind of get his health down a little bit, just so we don't get absolutely nuked by his wave. Which is completely fine, because we've still got barrier up, so it's reducing a lot of damage anyways.
Here we go. Hands up. How about this? Taking you down and break that. Bye now. Taking you down and break that. Here we go.
So I won't risk anything, we'll give in.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, that was the one fight I missed that one.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
There we go, okay.
Yeah, so
Very nice, very nice.
Genesis Avatar has 2 different versions in Remake and the OG. His fight is a lot longer, and his fight is a definite run killer in OG. If you die once, it is basically over. And especially going this far in, it's really bad.
Activating combat
So
mode.
this is the last fight in the game, Genesis 2. He's now fully restored after being in the live stream like he shouldn't have been.
This'll do.
Thankfully, we're just trying to gap close him as much as
Taking you
possible,
down a peg.
which a lot of it is literally just we're going to Vital Slash him, and if
Yeah.
we get him in a corner, then we'll do the
honor.
Assault Twister.
Hands up. How about this? Bye now. How about
But time will be coming up as soon as it's switched to
Here we
cutscene.
go. Hands up.
We're good. And
Conflict
time.
resolved.
Very nice. That was only, what, 1 death in the whole thing?
Yeah, 1 death, and that was
Excellent run.
what, at the claw machine.
Yeah.
Oh, G Regicide as well, 2nd death, but not,
Oh, but
not a game over
You,
death.
yeah, you revive immediately, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
No, other than that, what time was it? 1:31. That's actually not too bad considering what we blew about 4 minutes on cutscenes.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And also, that's real time. The speed run typically uses like a load remover to sort of normalize it because PC's different performance, etc.
yeah,
So RTA, that's pretty good.
even then, that's an extra 4 minutes on top of that. So realistically, you're looking at about 120, 126, 127ish, which is actually fairly good.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7 Reunion. I'm Corpsey, and this is Sire.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Pleasure to...
Okay. We have a $15 donation from Anna and Ghost. Not only helping people with cancer, but jumpstarting my FF obsession. Thank you. Anyway, that's it for the amazing Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII run by It's Corpsey. And coming up pretty soon, we're gonna have the next run, Tomba Special Edition by Raiko. Just a bit of background, Tomba has a interesting development recently. So just 2 months ago, remastered version got released that was released in the modern consoles. And yeah, so we're going to see Raiko speed running like the brand new PC version of Tomba. Or and we also have a bit war for this Tomba speedrun, a bit war between the original versus remastered soundtrack. So anyone who's willing to donate and contribute to the bit war, donate right now, because the game is going to be starting very soon. And for the viewers on stage, just a reminder that our speedruns also participating in the Pini Arcade Pin Quest. So if you want if you want to purchase a Speedo pin, you could go to the runner management desk there on the left side of the stage and purchase it for $30, and all the proceeds will fully go towards the Cure Cancer Australia. So for the incentive, at the moment they are tied. I was thinking I'll spice it up. After this hosting shift, I'll donate $15 to the remaster soundtrack. Okay, starting soon, we'll have the Tomba Special Edition speedrun by Raiko.